Hi, it's Jerry, and today is Tuesday, so that's Blended Family Tuesday, and welcome back. So today I wanted to share with you how we managed to manage our first ever confirmed case of the flu. It's kind of ironic. I believe that it was like Wednesday the 16th on a What the Health Wednesday. I actually shared what all our little tips were for like your everyday kind of cold or like the sniffles and stuff like that. And then it was just like 2 days later that our oldest daughter, May, she got like a headache and a sore throat, and it was on a Friday, and she was sick all throughout the weekend. And as we came into the day after MLK Day is when she went back to school. And then the next Friday, one Friday after she wasn't feeling well, our youngest daughter, Jo, same thing. She had a fever, a sore throat throughout the weekend. Her fever just kind of went up and then it came back down. And she was feeling all better last Tuesday, the 29th. And May felt fine last Tuesday on the 29th until dinner time. And at dinner time, May's fever spiked up really, really high. And the reason why it really caught my attention is because she had been sick the week before. So it really caught my attention that all of a sudden she had flipped back into the reverse of not feeling well. So her temperature spiked up to like 104.7, and the next morning when we woke up, her temperature was at 105.3 and 105.6, and Jo was feeling better. So we took Jo to school, and I took Maisie in to get checked out. And when we went in, the biggest, I really thought that she probably had strep throat, because that's about the only thing that I haven't ever been able to beat with my natural remedies. So my thought process was, maybe she never really stopped having a fever after I thought that she was well. I checked her for a day or two afterwards, but maybe she'd just been, because one time she had strep, and that's what she was like. She never really felt bad in her body. She could run around, she could play, she wanted to be outside, but she would just run a fever. And so I really thought she must have strep. So that's the first test that we did, was strep. And she did not have strep. But the PA that was working with me was ready to give me a prescription for an antibiotic, or to just go ahead and give me a prescription for Tamiflu. But I had just went through 2 of the girls being sick, and I really was kind of done, because in between both of them, I wasn't feeling so great. Sitting right there with May in the doctor's office, I wasn't feeling great. So I really needed some kind of a solution. And so what we did, instead of taking the prescription for the Tamiflu, I said, let's just go ahead and do the test for the flu. Do you remember them doing the test?
Yes, it was like this stick, like a longer cotton swab, and they dipped it in, what did they dip it in? Like alcohol?
I don't think she dipped it in anything first. It came out of, and if it did, it was some kind of solution.
And then she took it and she put it in my nose, and she went like that, pulled it out, and it really burned. She did it to both.
And the first time you didn't think you could do it after the first nose, huh?
No, not at all. It really hurt.
So we sat through the test of the nose jab, and she was like, bingo, she's got the flu. And I mean, it was a great relief to be able to have a solution, to know what was going on, but I'd never dealt with the flu. I mean, I'd had the flu when I was a kid, and when I was a kid, it was like, you just kind of tough it out. And I took Maisie on home, and I wanted to kind of chat with Dale and decide what we were gonna do about the prescription, because I didn't feel really good about it. And after talking with some of my cousins and relatives and friends that have all experienced the flu, and many of them had experienced the Tamiflu, we decided to not go the route of Tamiflu. So we set on a course of using a couple of products, and again, recommended by a friend of mine. And so the first thing that we went to go get was this, and I think you say it like it's azacillinum, is how you say it. You can get this at Sprouts. You can actually even get it at Walmart. And probably your grocery store has them around now too. But if you don't have a Sprouts or you don't have some type of natural grocer, you can get this at your local Walmart, and those are everywhere. So I knew about this, and I asked my friend who a couple years ago was recommending this to somebody. So I checked back with her. I was like, what was the alternative to Tamiflu? She said this, you can get it at Walmart. And then the other thing she said was to couple it with elderberry, black elderberry. And a lot of people I know of either make this as a syrup, or they make a cough medicine out of it. You can buy it as a syrup, you can buy it as a liquid. But the girls, we've taken this before as these little pastels. So it's kind of, let me get this out of here. So it's kind of like, to them, it's like a little gummy, you know, and it actually tastes pretty tasty too. It's like a yummy little taste. So when I was getting this at Sprouts, because I had other things to get to, the lady there told me that what had always worked for her and her husband was to take these at the same exact time. She's like, taking them both kind of collectively is great. She's like, but if we took them at the exact same time, we had the most success there. So I was all open to what could work. So that's what we did. When you get this, it's going to come in these little, like in these little containers, and inside the container is another little tube, and inside that tube are these little bitty, which looks like really microscopic beads. Not microscopic because you can see them, but they're really tiny little beads. And a cousin of mine, they only use a couple of these at the time. The package, and my friend recommended using a whole one at a time. And in the beginning days of our battle, when I pulled back to just a couple of these, it felt like the power of our battle had been pulled back. And that can be all in my mind, but I was focused on getting my daughter well. And so I went back to the course that I was on and using one full of these. So that was our main line defense. That was our thing to decrease the symptoms and get us on a path, because that's really what Tamiflu does. It's not a cure. It's not a magic pill that you take and boom, the flu is gone. It just simply, if gotten into your system at the appropriate time, it's supposed to be able to help you manage those symptoms. Ran this pair together twice a day, and again, we dumped all of this underneath the tongue, and we followed that whole routine around not drinking any water for 15 minutes before and not drinking 15 minutes after. That way it had all the ability to absorb into our mouth. Something that we kept going all the time was obviously water, and it really helped us for her to have a bottle of water that we could visually walk in and say, you got to get it down to the label. Okay, now you got to get this much. So it kept us on a constant course of her consistently drinking water. And something that I'd started each of her days out with, that's just vitamin C. It's like the same as an emergency pack. I just am able to buy these as individual packs at Sprouts. You know, so instead of having to buy a $12 box of emergency, I can get them in individual packs for like 40 cents. And the biggest thing is that they've got more flavors. Like, the girls really like the elderberry, and so it's easy for them to get it down, whereas a lot of the flavors that emergency makes, they don't like them, and so it takes forever to get them to get the whole thing down. And so you have to be your best judge on what levels of vitamin C you are going to give your child. I know where my children's levels are at, and you can kind of measure it on how their stool changes, but this is something that we've been running every day. And I want you to know that when you do big amounts of vitamin C, you just want to remember to be walking down from that. I explained it to May earlier today, is it's kind of like Jenga. You can use vitamin C as a support bone, like in your Jenga puzzle, but if you rapidly pull that out, it's going to make your whole puzzle or your health fall all apart again. So that's a big one that we've kept consistent. The other vitamins that we've been taking are the vitamin A and the vitamin D. This is an old hack that I got from the naturopath that cared for the girls when they were young. So we've consistently been running A, B, and, well, A, C, and D. Well, yeah, A, C, and D we've been consistently running. And then, like I said, if our temperatures were below 102, then we just let our body manage the burn. And of course, I had to find myself a concoction to make up. And this has been our concoction, and it is vicious, right?
Yes, it did so much work for us. That's why today I have no fever, and hopefully I'm going back to school tomorrow. It tastes awesome. It's a little...
Awesome?
Awesome. It has a little spice taste to it, but other than that, it's an awesome medicine.
Well, and that's a lot coming from her, because she is not on the spectrum of who's willing to take a homemade remedy. She's pretty low on the list, and it's usually because it's got heat to it. So this concoction is 6 fresh squeezed lemons, and we're lucky because it's ripe time for lemons here in Arizona. So we've got a couple of neighbors that are happy to let us glean, and we've also got our lemon tree that's just now getting all ripe, ready for the picking. So it's 6 fresh lemons squeezed, and then it's 2 teaspoons of ginger powder, and I'll put this down in the description. It's 2 tablespoons of honey, 3 cups of pineapple juice, and that's not the dull sugary pineapple juice. I got the fresh pressed, nothing added to it from Sprouts pineapple juice. And then 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And it actually also called for a bulb of garlic to be ground into it. And I didn't do that the first day. And mind you, throughout all these, everything that I put her on course with, the oxacillium, I'm probably saying that terribly wrong, the elderberry, the vitamin C, everything that she was doing, I immediately put myself on top of doing, because I didn't want to get it. I was already not feeling good, and I chose to go ahead and build up my defenses so that by the time I got her done, I wouldn't be feeling like, you know, no good myself. So I was drinking this with her, is my point, and it was so vicious without the garlic. And even though I believe and totally love all the benefits of garlic, we didn't actually put the garlic in there. Maybe next time, but this time it was strong enough for me. And you drink 1 cup of this. And the lady I found on Instagram, who'd found it from somebody else, she was drinking it every 6 hours and using no other remedies at all, and she claimed that to have been the breadwinner in all of hers. But we use a combination of everything. So the other thing I really want to talk to you about that is our #1 friend in our house, and was really a great friend throughout this flu adventure, was this Kinza thermometer. And we actually got this free through the girls' school, and I know I've talked about this before on Instagram, but I don't think I've ever mentioned anything about it in the video. Okay, the coolest thing about the thermometer is that it comes with an app, and the thing that I really found most handy about this app, and all the time that I've had it, and especially now, is being able to track and log all of the symptoms that your child is having. And so you can work this the thermometer all by itself. You don't have to use the app. And so you'll see, like, I don't have every single day in here, or every single measurement that I took. Once I got it to certain zones, I would just check and keep course in my head. And then when we'd shift out of a zone, I would go back and I'd start logging my temps again. So just to give you an example of how it works, when you turn the thermometer on, it looks like this, and she's gonna put it in her mouth, and this is what comes up on the screen. See the bubbles? And as soon as the temperature is read, it comes up there. And then we can go down here and we can click on Maisie and say next. And then we can go through all the symptoms she might be having, or we can just say next. And then over here, there's a log of all of the temperatures that she's had. See, if we go all the way back to Wednesday, there was that temperature of 105.4. And you can see that by Friday, we got her down to the 102, 101 range. And that's actually the point at which I kind of got away from the Tylenol, ibuprofen kind of back and forth regimen. I'm not cool at all with temps over 102, especially 104, 105. But I know at 102 and below, we can let the body do some of its own work. And on Monday, we had a weird spike up in May's temperature. Early in the morning, she woke up and she had spiked back up to 103. And I was like, ugh. You know, like, that's so frustrating when you feel like all of a sudden you're backtracking. And so, but since then, she's, you know, all day yesterday after that, she stayed in like the 99 to like 100 range, 99 to 100, back and forth there all day long. Woke up this morning, she's at 98.2, 98.4, and she's just staying in that 98 zone. So we're very, very, very grateful for that. We're 6 days in because tomorrow would have been 7 days. So can you think of anything else, May, that we did that we're leaving off of here?
No, but I was gonna say something that really helped me with this. I'm usually not a fan of spicy stuff, so
come over here, just in case.
So that every time I drink this, I drink it really fast with a straw.
With a straw.
And after that, I swallowed it real fast and got my vitamin C water, and I drank some of that to cool it down for a minute, and then I'd go straight back to that and back and forth until I finish this.
Very good. And then, so all she has left now is just kind of like some congestion. And so we've got some generic Mucinex, if you will, Gustafacin or whatever, that we're taking to kind of get the rest of the stuff lifted out of her chest. And now we're going to kind of wean down on the vitamin A, D, and C levels that we're taking. We might have one more of this tonight. Just, I think last night she probably had maybe more like 4 ounces of it because I just wanted to get the last 1-2 punch in there. Probably will do that again tonight because I just don't want to pull everything out of her system really fast. But the girls are out of school for some reason tomorrow, just one of those random kids don't get snow days in Arizona deals. So they're out of school tomorrow, and that'll give her one more day to rest. And so Thursday will be her first day back. And I'm happy about that because I feel like after the cold, we rushed it, and she wanted to go to a field trip really bad. She's missing a field trip today, but she wanted to go back to school so fast after that first cold because of a field trip, and this time we're not rushing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find this helpful. I know that in all the other parts of the country that it's really cold outside, and this is the time that the things like the cold and the flu really, really ramp up hard for you. So if you're not feeling that good about the things that you've read or the things that you've heard or may have already experienced in the past with taking Tamiflu, I hope you can find this video out there and share it with your friends or share it with yourself, and use these steps to get yourself on a fast road to getting past the flu. And the last thing I'll tell you before we cut off is that we have kept her completely quarantined this entire time. She shares a room with her sister. Her sister has been sleeping in a different room the entire time since her testing positive. She's had all of her meals brought up to her. We've constantly disinfected. There's a bathroom across the hall from her, which is not really the one that everybody uses the most, but when she went in there, she took precautions to not touch things and not touch the doorknob. We were constantly disinfecting those doorknobs, and the only people that came in her room and dealt with her where she didn't have a mask on were Dale and I, my husband. And otherwise, if the kids popped in for a second, then she had one of those medical masks on over her face. And so so far since last Wednesday,
I've been really good.
Yeah, but so far since last Wednesday, nobody else has even had any type of a fever spike. And so that's my next #1 goal, is to keep everybody else from getting sick. So I hope you have the best day ever, and we'll chat with you real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I don't know if they can see you over there.
Okay. Bye.